I love Tina Fey, and I will watch anything that she does. And I think Date Night was the first of her films I ever saw, apart from Mean Girls. I think Date Night was the first one. And for that reason, it will always hold a special place in my heart. But it's not really the best of her films. But it's good, and I like Steve Carell as well. So it's got a lot going for it. It was released in 2010, and directed by Shawn Levy, written by John Klausner, and stars, of course, Steve Carell and Tina Fey, as well as Mark Wahlberg and Kristen Wiig. Mark Ruffalo's in it, Mila Kunis. It's got a really good cast. No issues with the casting. Obviously, the acting is good quality. The narrative for me was okay, but there are things about it that I think I wasn't expecting and I would have done differently to make it a bit funnier. The description from IMDb is as follows. In New York City, a case of mistaken identity turns a bored married couple's attempt at a glamorous and romantic evening into something more thrilling and dangerous. I have to say I really like that description. I think that sums it up perfectly without giving anything away. I really like that. Basically, our protagonists, Claire and Phil Foster, are at a point in their marriage where, not so much make or break, but, they're starting to just get stuck in a rut, and they try to have a date night to make things a bit more interesting. But when they are subject to being victims of mistaken identity, things take a very action-packed, heated, and potentially dangerous turn. And this attempt to rekindle the spark in their marriage turns into a very action-packed, chaotic adventure that's got a lot more than just spark in it. And, the narrative itself works. The development of the narrative is fine. I think we get enough time to set up and understand them as people, and then it launches into the narrative, and, I think it does that well. But for me personally, I just wasn't that interested in the film after the fact. The setting up I really liked. Once the pacing kind of quickened, I wasn't really that bothered about why they were victims of mistaken identity or what was behind that. I was interested enough that I could keep watching the film, but I didn't really feel that emotionally invested in it. I was very emotionally invested in our protagonists, in Phil and Claire. I thought, I was interested to know what would happen in the end. Would they stay together? Would they be stronger? Etc. But the narrative itself was just average for me. But it is a good film. It's not a film that I will watch that frequently, but I probably will watch it again, maybe once every 10 years, because I love Tina Fey, and she always makes me happy. So I will watch it again. It's not a bad film, but it's not a film that I would instantly recommend if you were looking for a recommendation for either a Steve Carell or Tina Fey film. I'd say give it a watch if it sounds like your kind of thing, or if you like any of the cast. It's pretty fun, but I wouldn't say put it straight to the top of your to-watch list. If you never saw it, you wouldn't be missing out, but if you gave it a watch, I think you'd enjoy that time.